Hello and welcome back to my series where I make Ventrilian nobles but extra complicated on the release schedule of a hibernating bear. Today we're going to take some feudal world scions that I built and paint them up. As you can see, these are the Crusaders from a few videos ago, and I've decided I'm going to use them as Tempestus primes. For all of my other scions, they have Freeguild greatsword legs, they have Scion torsos and arms, and then their heads are a mix between the Bretonnian heads and some heads I got from Anvil Industries. The eagle-eyed among you will see that I have removed the backpacks and the wires. That's just to make them look less top-heavy. The legs are a little bit more upright and less suited for the torsos, so I did that in order to make them look more balanced. And then I've also taken the scopes off the top to give them more of a rapid-fire, close-range kind of a feel. Now, the first step I did was I spray painted everything in a bright gold. I didn't record that because I did it at a friend's house. I've decided I'm going to not paint with my friends anymore because I get stuff done and don't record it. And as fun as that is, I kind of want to do the filming part as well. Here I am just mixing up some paint to go ahead and start laying down the first layers of the primary color, which is going to be red for these guys. I think the hardest thing about this step was actually painting with the camera in the way. I knew where I wanted to put the paint down, but I like to have my face right against what I'm looking at, and having a camera in the way kind of stopped me from being able to do that. And so what I did is I basically just put enough on so you can see where I wanted the red to be, and then I did a lot of it off camera so you wouldn't have to see me miss and I wouldn't have to try and correct all of my mistakes later. Now, I know you just watched my video where I said that all of my different models are going to be from different royal houses or noble houses, and it's kind of curious that I decided to paint an entire squad red and gold. And the reason that I did that is because I have decided to go and say that a squad is provided by the house, not the individual model. And what that allows me to do is have like blocks of all the same color, and that I'm hoping is going to let me be able to take things like, 60 Kriegers in one army and they'll be the black and white house, and then some Cadians, they can be like the blue and white house. And then the Catachan can be the green and white house, and the Scions can be the red and gold, and on down the list as I, find the noble houses and their colors. And that'll let me have a very infantry-heavy list. These Scions in particular are from House Halstead, which has a red shield with a golden eagle on it, which goes well with the red armor and golden trim. I think when I have enough, bits and bobs to make more Scions, I'll probably make enough so that I have 3 units of 10, and they'll be red and gold, gold and red, and black and gold as well. So some of these guys might get repainted if it turns out they're excess or extra or superfluous. But there's also nothing saying that every house only provides one squad of the thing that I say that they're responsible for. So, we'll play it by ear. I'm not going to be too finicky about it. Just to make sure that this video doesn't last forever, I'm going to show you how I did it in batches. So this is the first coat of red, and then this is the second coat of red where it really comes in solid and you don't see any of the gold underneath anymore. With that done, I decided I needed a bit of a change of scenery, so I decided to do their lava swords. And the reason that I'm kind of doing it this way is this seemed easier than normal power sword to me, because I just had to mix the colors and put them on thick at the right spots versus trying to glaze them to forever. And then also, the original idea behind Brandstrom as a planet was to make it this volcanic wasteland before I decided to make it this oceanic wasteland. So I think the lava swords kind of tie into that a bit better. So I started off by painting the whole thing white so that the colors would be nice and bright, and then I laid down a layer of yellow, bright yellow, making sure to get the edges as well. Keep in mind this was only one coat. I do put another one on, but I don't film it because that would be a bit repetitive in my humble opinion as the guy who had to hear my voice and edit this over and over. The next color on top of that was to just mix a little tiny bit of red to get an orange. The way I did this was just by having, a big pool of yellow and then adding a little bit of red kind of at the corners so that I could just kind of incrementally build up. I wanted to get about 5 different colors, which I think was perhaps ambitious considering the actual width of the sword. But again, live and learn. I put 2 coats everywhere I touch with this color as well, just making sure that I get some kind of, I don't want it to be even, so I want to get some kind of like little tails, little streaks going out into the yellow to make it look like fire or lava or whatever is mixing together. I think the fire effect is definitely helped by the fact that the sword itself kind of looks like, kind of like a bit of flame shooting out of like a metal casing, almost like a fire lightsaber, kind of. Once I had that laid down, I put a little bit more red into the paint and then just covered a little bit less. As you can see, I'm being a little bit less haphazard. I'm letting that orange in the middle kind of stay there. And then I do the same thing with just pure red, just no yellow mixed into it all. I stay really close to the edges, just darkening them up. And then making sure it's kind of blotchy on the edges still so you get that kind of more organic look. And we'll say that it was on purpose and not just me being very shaky with my actual paint application. The very last step was to put the sooty black kind of coldest part on the edge of the sword. I think it's funny that the part that you're hitting people with is the cold part, but in my head it's so that it doesn't cauterize the wound, right? You want to put the fire into the wound, so you gotta have it be the cold, hard part that will actually cut people open. I also think this is my favorite layer of the whole process because it is the one that really sells it to me as a lava sword versus a poorly done fire sword. I think the black gives it a nice edge, keeps it all kind of contained when you look at it by itself, and then also gives the idea of really dark to really bright, better than just the edge of the red. And again with this, I want it to be kind of clumpy so it looks like it's freezing almost, like the metal is cooling off in sections by itself. And this is after I've really gone over the edge to make sure it's dark so you don't see any of the yellow poking through the cutting edge. After that, I bust out my white paint and decide to paint all of the skulls on their shields, as well as their hands and any white ribbons or wraps or headscarves or anything like that that are on these guys. I kind of made it too watery for these skulls at first, so it kind of filled the crevices in a way I didn't mean it to, but I fix it later with the dark kind of wash that I made just by watering down my black a lot. And I make sure to do that 3 times for 3 shields, and I get progressively better. Don't make the same mistakes as I go. Even that little bit though, without the wash, kind of really, solidified in my mind that this was going to be good and turn out just fine. As you can see, I'm struggling with the hands. I have this problem where if it's too watery, then almost like the milkiness of the white paint will collect at the wrists and make the edge of the metal white, which you would want the edge of the metal to be gold. But I kind of just said, it's my first model I'm painting on screen, it can be bad. Or not bad, but not great either. And I just kind of let it be mediocre and be what it is. After doing that about 12 times, 24 because there's 2 hands per guy, right? But after doing that about 12 times, this is what I ended up with. All of the gloves are done, as well as 4 of them have these white little tassels coming off of their heads, and then some of them have wraps around their knees that are also painted bright white. Here I am mixing up some black paint. I decided kind of on the fly that I didn't think that their arms should be gold. I thought that they should be black to kind of suggest that there's a shirt under there. And I didn't want to do this because I wanted to be lazy, but I decided against being lazy. I think the hardest part about this step was getting my brush consistently small enough by, you know, twisting the brush so that you kind of make a point, making it small enough to go in the crevices without oversharing like I did here, where I had to go back with red later. And once I did, I was like, well, I might as well just be kind of messy on this one. But I tried to be good on the others. I found a smaller brush elsewhere that I ended up using to finish it, but I was just showing you the kind of the spots I was going for. The last color I had to block in was a brown for the leather bits, which was mostly just the shoes and then the straps on the arms. I end up putting a couple of coats of brown, and then I also mix a little black into it so that their shoes aren't kind of the same tone as the gold, which is what I found with the brown. If I just put the brown straight on there, it was kind of a similar tone. Putting a bit of black in there really differentiated it. And you can see it's only barely darker than the gold around it. Without the black in there, it wasn't darker at all. After 2 or 3 coats in every pair of shoes, this is what it turned out to look like. From the table playing the game, it's not bad. And then I took a bit of black and decided I was going to do a pin wash, which was very ambitious for me at the time, and probably the step that actually worked out the best, and the step I liked the most. Especially with the shields, where I didn't have to be accurate, I could use the water to push it into the crevice, and it made a big difference right away where I could see the color change very quickly. This is where I used the black wash on the skulls and the shield, and this is where I also kind of fixed my overspill of the very thin white from earlier. I especially like how it changed the eye and nose and teeth holes to make them look more serious and dark and not like just a plaster or marshmallow skull on the front of this shield. Now we're getting into easily the longest part, which was doing the plasma gunner's pistol and plasma gun, just because I kept messing up and kept having to start over. I have forgotten how many times I have overspilled or done the wrong color in the wrong spot and had to go back to red and white in order to do this right, and it still ended up looking kind of messy. But my first step was to put white everywhere I thought it should be glowing, and the very first thing I do is smack it, and then I try to wash off the excess and wipe away some of the red with it. So here I am back up to what it should be. I'm here adding the blue in, and I have a bit too much on the brush. You can see it starting to collect at the bottom, and I'm having flashbacks to the last thing that just happened where I put too much blue on. I'm trying to get some of that liquid sucked up and put on the other side, but I keep just dripping it onto the red and making the coils look, I don't know, not like I wanted them to look. Here's the pistol now. Get it in focus, come on. You can do it. There you go. You do this for a hobby. Trying to get that last little bit of white, and I'm doing the vents on the front part too. I've seen people not do those. I've seen people do those. In hindsight, maybe I should not have done them because I didn't do them quite as well, but nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? This is where I'm putting white back in to try and brighten it up and make it look like it's glowing, and instead I'm missing the mark somehow. I don't know. Maybe it's the wrong color. Maybe it's the wrong technique. Maybe you shouldn't get all of your painting tips off of Pinterest with no video accompanying it. So next time I have a plasma gunner, I'll probably watch a how-to video or 7 before I go for it. You can see those poor vents on the front where it just looks like it's covered in milk. And I'm trying to put some white on, get some of the liquid off of the brush, and then suck it back up. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just putting paint down, hoping it turns out looking all right. In hindsight, it definitely looks like a Warhammer model, so I got that going for me, right? And adding insult to injury, we are refilling our milk cups. I think this is where I left it. Let's see how it looks when it's all done and sat to dry and I've given up on my plasma dreams. Here he is. Not quite the ugliest duckling, is he? But I don't know, he's very obviously what he is. You can tell what his job on the battlefield is, and I think that's all I need them to do. Now we're going in and seeing them as done as they're going to be. I'm done looking at them for now. I'm done working on them. Their bases can stay blank until I learn how to put static grass down. I had some little gravel, but it ended up not looking like what I wanted it to be. And they're fine just being what they are for now. So yeah, that's my Feudal World Scions. I really like their shape more than I like their color, just because of my technical skill. I'm better at gluing arms onto bodies than I am painting the arms on said bodies, but I still think they look well enough for my purposes. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe, or don't, I'm not your dad. Have a good day, and bye.